Hey guys, video number 6 for the post-trib pre-wrath rapture position. Now, I've given you guys some clear statements and some clear-cut verses. We have many, many more we're going to look at about when the rapture is, that it's post-tribulational, but before God pours out his wrath. But you're probably wondering, well, what would a pre-trib person, what would someone who believes in a pre-tribulation rapture give as their text verse that we're out of here before that? And one of the most famous ones is here in Revelation chapter 4, beginning in verse 1. And basically what they're trying to say is, since John was talking to the churches, which they falsely say are church ages, which is not true because it says that these were literal churches which are in Asia. So John was writing to 7 literal churches. But even so, they'll say, you see the churches mentioned, and then in Revelation 4:1, John's caught up into heaven, symbolizing the rapture. That must be the rapture, and then you don't see the church again. Well, there's 2 problems with that. Nothing about what we're about to read, and we're going to look at it, has anything to do with any sort of rapture whatsoever. That's number 1. Number 2, the saints are the church, and they're mentioned on pretty much almost every chapter in the book of Revelation. So what's not mentioned ever after chapter 3 is the Jews. They're never even brought up again in the entire book of Revelation, but the saints are on almost every page. So that's just simply a false narrative. A lot of people get into this he said about, this is what somebody else said God said, instead of taking God's words for what we read it as. And that's what we're going to do here. Revelation chapter 4 verse 1 says, after this I looked, this is John, one person, and behold, a door was open in heaven. Now, did he meet Jesus Christ in the clouds? No, he did not. A door was open in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me. It was like a trumpet. It wasn't a trumpet. When the Bible says in the Old Testament, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, it doesn't mean make a noise. It just means be loud. So he heard a voice like a trumpet, and notice it says, talking with me. Trumpets don't talk. This is a voice that was talking. He didn't even hear a trumpet. So there's no trumpet whatsoever. And it says, which said, come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. So he's not meeting the other saints in the air. He is going to receive a vision that Jesus Christ is going to show him the things which are to come. And it says, and immediately I was in the Spirit. The rapture is a bodily resurrection. This corruption must put on incorruption. This mortal must put on immortality. This is a spiritual resurrection. This is John being caught up in the Spirit. And behold, a throne was set in heaven. So therefore, John was not meeting the Lord in the air. He wasn't meeting anybody in the clouds. He was in the Spirit, and he was in heaven. And one, sat on the throne. So Jesus Christ is not coming to earth. He's sitting on the throne when he's caught up there. And then he goes on to describe what he saw. So we have no elements of the rapture passages that we saw. We have no Jesus coming in the clouds. We have no shout. We have no voice of the archangel. We have no trumpet. We have a voice like a trumpet talking with me, but we certainly don't have a trumpet. And so none of the key and then we have a spiritual, John's in the Spirit when the rapture is a bodily resurrection. So we have no elements that match anything about a rapture. And guys, if this is really all that a pre-tribulationist will have, then that's not even close to a clear statement. And I wouldn't, if my salvation rested on a verse that was that vague, I would then doubt my salvation, because I base what I believe on a clear statement, and this verse is anything but a clear statement.